What's up guys, my name is Mike and I'm the Weird Pigeon of Weird Pigeon Productions, and I just recently saw Andor and I've got to say I absolutely loved it. I think this is probably one of my favorite Star Wars shows that's come out so far. It's up there with The Mandalorian. I don't know if I like it as much as The Mandalorian just yet, but I do really enjoy it and I'm really excited to see where it goes. But before I get too far into sharing some of my thoughts and opinions on the show, I do want to say there will be some minor spoilers in this video, but I'll let you know when those are going to be coming. This first portion will just be my spoiler-free thoughts and opinion. So first thing I want to say is this show is actually pretty dark and gritty for a Star Wars show. I feel like with Star Wars, especially Disney Star Wars, the words dark and gritty have almost been like buzzwords that people use to describe the latest and greatest new Star Wars show or thing that's come out. And it's kind of overused and not necessarily true up until now. This show is also pretty adult for a Star Wars show. Star Wars movies have always been meant for people of all ages. Everything from children all the way up to adults. And that can definitely be said for all of the movies and the TV shows up until recently. And even though the animated shows and cartoons are really geared more towards children, there's a lot there that adults can get out of as well, especially in the later seasons of those shows as they kind of mature with their audience. But this show is probably the first time that we've had a piece of mainstream Star Wars media, especially under Disney, that I feel like is geared specifically for adults, but is accessible for children. And the characters aren't your typical black and white good guys. A lot of them are really gray, especially Andor, who I definitely consider to be a perfect representation of an anti-hero at this point. On top of this, the pacing for a Star Wars show is pretty slow. A lot of Star Wars shows and movies are very fast-paced. There's constantly something happening. The plot is always continuing on. There's a new fight, a new battle, something going on at all times. This show, especially with the first 2 episodes, really takes its time to establish the setting, the world, which I really appreciate as a Star Wars fan. There's a lot of world building in this show, as well as the dynamics between the different characters, what their lives are like, who they are, a little bit of their background, and how they interact with each other and the universe they're in. And I feel like if a kid were to watch this, they probably wouldn't be as interested as an adult would be. And the fact that this show starts out at a slower pace is by no means a negative critique. I really like that. It feels like the show can really breathe. You can get to know the characters before the plot really starts to pick up the pace, which we do see happen in the 3rd episode. Now, I am a freelance filmmaker and photographer, and I love dissecting movies, and I've got to say, the filmmaking behind this show is absolutely incredible. The cinematography is amazing, and I really think it's some of the best that we've seen in a Star Wars TV show so far. So much so, I am going to make my own separate video just talking about the cinematography of this show and how I really think it's better than what we've gotten in Star Wars TV until now. But the lighting is incredible, and so much of it is actually incorporated in the set and is very practical. The cinematography tells the story just as well as the script and the dialogue from the actors does. The directing and acting is absolutely exceptional. I think it's some of the best acting we've gotten in Star Wars. The set design is really amazing. The wardrobe's incredible. The set decoration is incredible. The music in this show is much like The Mandalorian, where it's different than what we've really seen in Star Wars, but it's very, very well done. It fits the scenes, it fits the aesthetic, it fits the entire film, and I felt like it's memorable. It's not something that you're just listening to in the background and you'll forget about. The next thing I want to talk about is the story and the characters, and this is going to be moving into some spoiler territory. Now, with all that out of the way, the story is very different compared to a conventional Star Wars TV show or movie story. This is about the ordinary characters of the Star Wars galaxy. And all the other characters really in this show are brand new. The planet, to my knowledge, is brand new. And I absolutely love that. I feel like a lot of this franchise is starting to go through the motions in a way. It's getting a little bit formulaic. Another thing to note is the villains of this show are really different for what we get in a Star Wars show. It feels like they're loosely based off of the corporate sector authority from Star Wars Legends, and I think they've been introduced in canon, although they're a little different. They were autonomous, they could govern themselves, and they were kind of like a dystopian dictatorship, where these massive corporations ruled this portion of space, and they used kind of like a dystopian militarized police force to enforce their rule. I also really like the flashbacks that we see of Cassian when he was younger. Something we don't get a lot in Star Wars, besides really the Ewoks, is people in the Star Wars galaxy who aren't really as advanced and futuristic. I really want to know what that ship was and what was on it that crashed onto their planet, and if those guys are separatists or if they're Republic. Because in the show they say they're Republic, but they're all wearing separatist uniforms, which is interesting. Moving on to some of the characters of this show, Cassian is very different from what we see him as in Rogue One. He reminds me of like a Han Solo type where he's constantly trying to talk himself out of situations. He's a thief, but at this point in his life, his luck has really run out. People are tired of putting up with him. They're tired of always doing favors for him. And he's gonna have to change a lot if he wants to regain their trust. Also, Marva is an interesting character in the show. She's kind of like Andor's adopted mother. And you can tell she really cares for Cassian, but she doesn't approve of the person that he's become. Also, there's Bix, who is a friend of Cassian's, and she's really helped him out with a lot of stuff, and also kind of hooks him up with Luthen, and it helps him escape the planet in a way. She's really interesting, and now that her love interest is dead, I'm excited to see where her character is going to go from here. Another character I've really enjoyed is Luthen Rael. I'm starting to think he's more of a collector than like a senator in the Empire, but he's definitely somebody who's wealthy and very important and probably has a lot of political influence in the Empire itself. But he's by no means an Imperial. He hates them. And I love how the reason he wanted to meet Cassian, as we find out, wasn't because he had something of value, but because Cassian was the something of value. Cassian is somebody that Luthen can really use to help beat the Empire, to help start a rebellion. There is something, though, about the dynamic and energy between Luthen and Andor that I really like. Especially Luthen, as he's already taking sort of a mentor role in Andor's life, by telling him, oh, you're doing these things wrong, you need to change this is like a rookie mistake. I'm really excited to see how their relationship flourishes through the show and where things go with them. Moving on to some of the villains of the show, I want to talk about Syril Karn. I think I'm pronouncing his name right. I don't remember exactly how they said it in the show, but he was not exactly who I thought he'd be. He's very frustrated with the corruption within his organization, and it also seems like he's not exactly prepared to be a leader at all. And I'm really interested to see what's going to happen with him, the organization he works for, after the disaster that was episode 3 for him. Overall, guys, I am super excited with this show. Again, I feel like it's very different for a Star Wars show, but in a very good way. It's almost like a breath of fresh air. And the quality of this show is absolutely amazing. I can't wait for the next episode. I really haven't seen too much of what people are thinking about the show online. I kind of wanted to give my review and thoughts and opinions on that first before I saw what other people were saying about it. With that said, I would love to know what your opinion is on this show, and I would love for you to comment and let me know what that is. I read every comment. It takes a lot of time and effort for me to make these videos, so I'd really appreciate if you left a like and subscribed. And of course, as each episode of Andor comes out, I'll be releasing more videos, and I am again planning on making a video talking about the cinematography of this show and how I feel like it's a lot better than what we've gotten in the past. So guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.